Which of the old school Yorkshire brewers makes the best Imperial Stout? We're about to find out. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, today I'm going to find out which one of these two legendary Yorkshire breweries makes the very best Imperial Stout. We've got Sam Smith's, we've got Black Sheep, and well, let's be honest, the Imperial Stout in recent times has been the kind of the mark of the super bougie modern craft beer aficionado, but of course the origins of the beer go to way back when, so picking two breweries that did it way back when, a little bit of a question over Black Sheep, but they kind of came out of Theakston, so we'll let them by. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. And of course, I am about to do something pretty silly and open two Imperial Stouts at the same time. These are kind of meant for kind of a one and done situation, and well, I'm gonna have two on the go at once, but all in the name of some kind of YouTube science. Fortunately though, both of these bottles are relatively small. The Black Sheep comes in a 330ml, which is the size I've been asking people to put Imperial Stouts out at for ages, so I'm very pleased with them. The Sam Smith though comes in at 355ml, which is a bit of an odd size here in the UK, but is probably a bit of a suggester to their, well, quite often exported to the US arm of that business. The Sam Smith comes in at 7% in this pretty good looking bottle. It's very regal, very old school, very trad. But yeah, it looks the business. Heaps of info about them on the back as well. So 7%, 355ml bottle. Definitely looks the business. And then the Black Sheep. This one also, well, it looks very traditionally Black Sheep, but just with a slightly darker logo. This used to be called Russian Imperial Stout, and they rebranded it and renamed it to, well, Imperial Yorkshire Stout, as a result of, well, some unsavoury acts going off in and around the Russian area. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about the beer. Now then, interestingly, both of these beers had pretty smooth and tame pours up until it got right to the top of the glass and all of a sudden they went foam mad. On pouring, I felt like the Black Sheep was a bit lighter, and it is, absolutely. If I hold the Sam Smiths up, it is a pitch black beer, proper pitch black Imperial Stout, exactly what we'd expect. The Black Sheep though, I don't know if it'll come through on camera. Don't know if it's gonna show it to you or not, but when I hold it up to the light, there's a distinct deep red ruby hue kind of just trailing underneath the side of the glass there, so it's definitely a touch lighter. The heads, I tell you what, for Imperial Stouts, I know they're not the strongest impies going, and ultimately 7% these days is questionably impy, I guess, but I reckon it just makes the mark. But yeah, the heads sticking around look pretty good on both of them. I'm gonna have to show you, I'm gonna have to get the light on my phone on this. That's Sam Smith. You can see, if I obviously with a really bright light right behind it, you can see a little bit of red bleeding through. If I do that, there you go, massive difference. Genuinely not the darkest beer. It wouldn't be bad for a regular stout, but I always feel like an MP needs to be proper, deep, dark, rich. So yeah, not the best on the visual, but anyway, the head's taming up now, so let's go for some aromas on the Samuel Smith's Imperial Stout. Straight away, it's got that nice trad, old school kind of, I guess it's distinctly twiggy beer style, but it's got that nose that definitely some retro old school British hops in there, and quite interesting for an Imperial Stout that the first thing I pick up on is the hop. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's sweet, chocolatey, cacao, caramel. The ABV comes through, but it's relatively tame. It's got a little bit of kind of molasses quality to it, but it's not the deepest, darkest, richest aroma I've ever had on Impy Stout by a long way, but it does smell very nice. Then the Black Sheep, quite different, quite fresher, feels more of a modern beer. Now, they are a more modern brewery, if memory serves, than Sam Smith's, because of course they kind of originated out of the Theakston brewery, but still quite hop forward for an MP as well. I don't know if it's just my nose today, but a few nice clean green hop notes to it. More milk chocolatey, this one a bit sweeter, a bit less bold. Neither of them though really strong on the aroma. It's quite approachable, but it's got a lot of the actual toasted malt, chocolate malt, kind of heavily roasted malt character to it, rather than just coming across like chocolate, licorice, fudge, whatever. Right then, let's give these a go. On to the Samuel Smiths first. Cheers. Okay. Flavours really nice. Bit bolder than the aroma would have you believe. Body's a little bit thin, but again, it's a 7%, so we're not expecting the biggest, thickest kind of puddingy stout going here. It's got a real vanilla-y, like toasted marshmallow thing going on in there, along with the chocolate and the caramel and everything else. But yeah, kind of toasted vanilla notes really picking through there. Very nice indeed. And I'll be honest, the more sips I've had of that, the more I'm thinking, might buy this again. And on the note of purchasing these beers, I gotta say, absolute bargain. I don't know that these are absolute regular releases, as in constantly brewed, but certainly yearly releases, I believe. And, well, £3 to £4 each, which in the current state of affairs in beer, and especially with high ABV beer, the Sam Smiths at least, which I found at £3 a bottle online earlier, yeah, an absolute steal. Right then, into the Black Sheep. Cheers. Much bolder, despite that being a lighter looking beer. Much more intense, licorice notes, and my initial reaction was, is this barrel aged? I'm getting a real woody, whiskey, kind of oak tannin quality to it. I am going to look. We're going to look on the bottle now. It says, Imperial Yorkshire Stout, brewed on a limited basis in small batches. This irresistible Imperial Stout is deliciously dark, strong and powerful. Notes of port, dark fruit and subtle licorice blend with formidable roasted malt base. It's the port. Now, they don't say that it's barrel aged anywhere. Imperial Yorkshire Stout, Black Sheep, they don't. Whether it is or not, I don't know. Whether they're adding something to it to get that in. Maybe some actual port, I don't know. But it has got that intense, dark, depthy, fruity, woody. Kind of wish I hadn't looked at the tasting notes now because it's all in my head, but yeah, kind of does actually taste a bit like port. Right then, quick rundown of all of the flavours from each beer for you, top to bottom taste test style, but very rapid this time. So initially, right on the tip of the tongue on the Samuel Smiths, it's light, sweet, slightly spirity, actually quite well carbonated for an impy, which generally isn't my style, but because the flavours aren't as depthy in this, it actually kind of works. The sweetness is kind of, well, it feels very natural, almost honeyed in some aspects. Then over the first third, a few more bitter notes, proper deep roasty malt, and there's still a bit of greenery to it. I said on the aroma it kind of was quite hoppy for an impy. It's not a strong hop profile, but it's definitely there, definitely present, kind of not quite piney, not quite grassy, a little bit, well, yeah, twiggy, old school beer hop, traditional British hops. Then on the back of the palate, sweetens off a bit again, but it's dark sweetness, rich, bonfire toffee, cinder toffee, a few burnt fudgy notes, and then on the aftertaste, quite a lot of mineral quality from that good Yorkshire water coming through, bits of mild spice, light pepperiness maybe, and it's, yeah, very clean, like weirdly sessionable for a 7% beer, and well, that is all I've got left of it, so yeah, could be dangerous. Right then. And the same treatment for the Black Sheep, top to bottom taste test time, right on the tip of the tongue. A lot less spritzy than Sam Smith's. It's got this kind of red fruit character, kind of raspberry blackcurrant. It's got a very distinct flavour, which I think is crystal malt. If you ever had kind of, you know, the old school original Hobgoblin, things like that, there's a distinct, you'll notice the similarity there. Then over the first third, flavour's dulled down a bit. Becomes quite clean. Again, mineral water there, quality water comes through. Not a huge amount of flavour. Then onto the back of the tongue. Bitter, woody, port, as they said on the bottle. Deep fruit, fermented fruit. There's a real barrel note to it. Carries on though into the aftertaste where get more sharpness, bit of dark chocolate, really bitter, kind of 100% cocoa jobs. It's sharp, it's not overly sweet, and that's, I think the reason I'm really enjoying both of these right now is because there's no kind of, here's an impy stout that's really strong, and also we balance the fact that it's really strong with the fact it tastes like syrup. Like, no, none of that. Proper old school, done properly, and yeah, I wanted to pick a winner here, and I'm going to struggle because, well, truthfully, they both have pretty significant faults in my view when it comes to an Imperial Stout, but it's kind of in their charm, and it's kind of why I'm liking them so much. The Sam Smiths, despite looking the business, it's actually a bit thin, and these flavours are just nulled. Like, it's too easy to drink for a 7% impy. Like, it just is. Not that that's a necessarily bad thing, but if you're expecting a big extravagance, well, this isn't it. But the flavours that are in this beer for just a strong stout, absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, the Black Sheep, well, the visual, I know it doesn't really matter and it shouldn't matter, but it is just a bit light. It's looking like a very deep porter. but it's really pokey in terms of flavour, like this big, strong, getting some barrel notes, some woody notes, the port, the everything. It's like, well, it feels like a return to beer made without too much faff. It's considered, it is balanced, it's there, it's quite bitter. The fact that both of these have got actually a decent amount of hop in them weirdly makes me quite happy, because I'm forever saying I don't want hoppy dark beer. But they've just done it right in this. It's just balanced enough, and, well, yeah, as a result, I'm having a fantastic time. So which one should you buy? Well, the Sam Smith's, as I've looked today, is the cheapest. £3 a bottle, absolutely stunning value. Meanwhile, the cheapest I could find, the black sheep, was about £4.10, which again was still very, very good, and it is significantly stronger, 8.5 versus 7. So if you're just going out for that strength hit, go for the black sheep. Equally, the flavours in the black sheep are much more intense. But on the flip side, of course, if you want a strong stout but don't want the full intensity of a proper modern impy, well, the Sam Smith's is the obvious choice. They're both fantastic, and I'll be honest, I'm going to buy them both again because, yeah, I didn't expect them to be this good. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that I feel this way about these because, you know, we've been treated to these big, rich, lush, decadent Imperial Stouts from the craft breweries over the last decade where, you know, it's all big and strong and just over the top. And that's great, but actually, a softer return to form is the way. There are plenty of breweries out there, I've featured loads of them, where I've said this is a no-nonsense impy and it's fantastic. And that is true of those, but they're still been really, really strong. They might not have felt synthetic, which is also a big thumbs up, as neither do these, but these just tone it down a bit on the ABV. It's kind of entry-level impies. And actually, I'd rather drink these than, well, most of the stuff in the supermarket with the word Imperial Stout slapped on it, if I'm totally honest with you. So, yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. Right then, are there any other super traditional Imperial Stouts in the UK, or beyond for that matter, that I need to get my hands on to compare? Because, yeah, this is a style I'm very much digging a lot. Let me know, please, in the comments. But otherwise, that really is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you would be so kind. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.